welcome everyone to this very special occasion. My name is Chris Bennis. I'm the outgoing editor-in-chief.
I'm Amy Carlisle. I'm the incoming editor-in-chief.
And you might remember, recognize this guy right here, President Timothy Law
Tim
Snyder.
Snyder.
Yes, LMU's 16th president. Now, before we begin, we want to let our readers know that this entire interview, this entire walk and talk is completely unscripted. President Snyder has not heard any of the questions we're about to ask him. Can you verify?
We'll see.
And so, the responses you're about to hear are straight from the mouth of LMU's 16th president as they come to mind and captured by the students of the Los Angeles Loyolan. Let's walk.
And share with joy.
So thinking about LMU as a whole, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see the institution facing?
Well, our institution right now is on the precipice of becoming nationally recognized. And anytime one does that, the level of competition gets spiked. So we are now fighting with universities for the very best students in the world, the very best faculty in the world. What I love is our mission draws to us the kinds of persons who, as we say, can create the world we want to live in. But we're in a whole new space now, and I think anytime you've, quote, upped your game, that's a challenge. We always have challenge in raising money because we need money so that students who are the most creative among us can afford to come here through the help of financial aid. So those are big challenges. And I also still think our university, as much as we have pulled ourselves together, still doesn't recognize how good it is. I think we need to be a little louder, a little prouder. So those are some main challenges. There are many more. I can give you a laundry list, but I think right now those are the big ones. But we're competing better. We are still doing all we can for accessibility, and we just simply need to be a little stronger.
I know we asked some of our readers to give us or share with us some of the concerns or issues that they perceive about the LMU community. And they shared concerns of lack of support from the university in the following areas as a general challenge.
Okay.
Lack of support for students regarding food availability or housing, lack of support for staff in terms of fair pay or general support, and lack of support for our underrepresented communities. Now, that's a lot at once, but how would you respond to those concerns?
Well, foremost, Chris, these are the exact things I would expect our students to be concerned with for two reasons. One, these are our kinds of students. These are students from a Jesuit, Marymount Catholic institution who really want to make the world a better place. And the only way we can do that is by saying, we can do better here, we can do better here, we can do better here, and then being active about that. The second reason is I think these are some of our challenges. So I mentioned the three broad ones. I didn't include that we still need to become an anti-racist campus. I get a lot of flack for saying that. That is to recognize we still have a long way to go there. So I'd tell the students, bravo, 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 you're right, you're right, you're right. Help me help you get these things done. And we've had some progress in some of these areas, but we still have a long way to go.
Do you think part of your role as president then is being a listener as much as a doer in that regard?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So something that I think we have in common with our roles as president and as editor-in-chief is that we have to represent something much greater than ourselves, and we also face a lot of very public criticism. So I was wondering, how do you handle criticism and the demands of your job?
I handle it really easily. First of all, it's always going to be there. It's just part of our human society. It's now rendered more accessible by virtue of social. You know, anybody who wants a megaphone has it. That wasn't true in the past. So it's here to stay, but the strength to be able to endure it is exactly what you started with. You represent the full of your community, and they want to take me on. Excuse me. I represent a community that is so good and so strong. You can have any piece of me you want. That community will not be affected in any way negative by you being out of line. Now, if it's good criticism, then we got to take it in. That's where the listening comes in. But I think you just have to understand all the good associated with what you are doing, and then you can withstand anything, even when you make a mistake, and that happens too.
President Snyder, can you explain
Oh God!
this photo?
So I'm trying to estimate the age going on there. That was probably when I was maybe a first or second year student in college. That was our band in Toledo, Ohio. Very interesting time to be playing music, and that is I in the center.
So I'm just going to ask point blank, because we dug this up. Are LMU students going to see this hairstyle again anytime soon?
Actually right now it's getting pretty close. So tomorrow night I have an appointment. So I actually think that looks better because it's a lot less gray.
Storm the court, yeah?
Oh,
Were you there?
We were in the office. We were doing a little breaking news story about it.
You were covering.
It was a moment to remember. I don't think I've ever seen our students more joyful than in that moment. It was just magic. It was awesome. I actually cried afterward. So did others associated with the team, so it was cool.
Did I hear this right? You like to sit in the student section.
Yes.
Why?
Oh, just more energy there and more action, and I just like, it's a time to be with the students, because normally in here I don't get the time that I would like to have with the students because there's so many other obligations. You always feel like you're being pulled in different directions.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's hard.
As promised, last couple for us. So here's one, and it's a thought provoker. It's something that students are really curious about.
Sure.
One trait I think LMU students have in common is speaking truth to power and speaking up about perceived issues on campus. We had a similar question earlier. And I've heard this assumption that LMU has issues and there's a big pile of money somewhere that can fix everything.
Yeah.
My question is, does that pile of money exist, or is the truth more complicated?
Oh, there's never any pile of money. And what do people have to think about when they ask this question? First of all, does LMU have issues? Yes, and we talked about some of those. But to think that there's this sort of, I always call it the golden pool. I think there's like a golden pool of resources, and the president or the provost or somebody or the dean has the ability to dip her or his ladle into it and solve problems. If we had that pool, we'd be doing things with it. We don't want idle money. Now, we do budget really carefully. And we do that so at the end of the year, we hope there's something left over to do things like we're renovating Stroop Theater right now, which is a long overdue project. So sometimes as expenses and revenues ebb and flow, sometimes you get good surprises, sometimes bad surprises. You always hope that when you get the ebb, is that right? No, when you get the flow, you can use it to make up for things that may have gone wrong or maybe dilapidated or something like that. But there's no, we do have, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, we have a line of credit that we've negotiated with the bank, so should we ever need additional money, so let's say we had some natural disaster or something, is the big one we always think about, but that would give us some borrowing capacity at a relatively low rate. So that's what I always think about when I think of the mountain of money. It's out there if we need it, but we'd have to borrow. I wish we had borrowed some money. If we did, we'd use them in a heartbeat.
So I think when you take on such a high position of leadership within an institution, there can be a little bit of a disconnect between yourself and maybe the student community. So something I was wondering is, are there any things that you wish that students knew about you or about your job that you think they haven't learned yet?
Thank you for that great and open question. And also, Amy, I love that you're asking all these questions about leadership. That kind of yearning is exactly what leads to a beautiful and successful life. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It is hard to keep in touch, and I wish I could spend more time with our students, more time with our faculty, more time with our staff. I try to make sure I get together with each at least once a week. So once a month, for example, we have seniors over for dinner, which is always an exciting moment. And I learn a lot in those things. I think the main thing that I want people to know is I really love them. I love every member of our community. I pray for them. Anytime I hear of a problem, I've had those, it's not a sleepless night, but you always wake up right around 3 a.m. and you know you can't solve it right away. Or when there's a misunderstanding. I just hope people know that I really am as is, I'm just with everybody else in terms of being a person. Had a lot of luck. And I understand where that's happened in my life. I'm grateful for it, and I want to use it for the best. But I do want the best for every member of our community, and that's why I'm in that sort of 24/7 mode to do all we can in partnership with members of our community. That'd be the one thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, follow up to that, I think, like we talked about earlier, students are really interested in using social media to kind of talk about issues on campus or things that they want to discuss. How do you recommend that students get in touch, either with you directly or with somebody else, to make sure that they feel like their voices are heard and represented on campus?
Well, let me speak to that whole environment and arena, because I think sometimes student voices can be rendered less effective than they otherwise would be. I think so often when people do take a given phenomenon and then use it as representative of some sort of judgment, that's where we can err. And to post right away without first calling the member of the organization who's in charge of whatever it is and asking, did this really happen? Or can you help me understand why this happened? Sometimes we'll find that we don't have a need for a posting. So that'd just be one, if I may, tip. A second thing is, I've had people come to me to talk about a given problem. I don't know the details of it. I don't know why something is done the way it's done. I don't even know how necessarily to change it because we're such a complex organization. I always ask people to do what I would do, and I probably have an advantage in this. Find out where in the organization this problem can be solved and go first to that person just as an efficiency. So something's wrong, say, with your roommate. Go to housing. Go to the person who actually is involved with assigning roommates. If you come to me, I have to ask the provost, who then asks the senior vice president for student affairs, because we have protocols here. I can't be calling people everywhere in the organization. It wouldn't be right of me to do that. So I think the best way to get a hold of me is by being in touch with every member of our community, particularly where the expertise lies. But I'm around campus a lot, and trust me, I hear a lot. I just don't think social is always the fastest way to get things done, because it can lead. You know what else can happen in social? We can move from the what to the how. So people will be upset because we're doing something in a certain way or not doing it in a certain way. And what they should be trying to do instead is saying, what are we trying to accomplish? What are the other ways in which we can do that could be productive? I stick with the what, and then we figure out the how. What do we want to do? We got to stick on that.
You might have noticed that Amy and I, we have matching shirts on because it's
yeah,
First Amendment week.
That's right.
It's the 1 week where the Loyolan champions the First Amendment and the 5 freedoms that come with it. We wanted to offer you a free t-shirt. It's a small token of our affection and our gratitude for this time.
Thank you. Wow. I'm wearing this tomorrow. This is going to be my Starbucks uniform. Take off my LMU gear, my Lion stuff. Check that out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you. How am I looking?
Great.
I'm like the Shar-Pei puppy without paying the puppy. Sharp.
President Snyder, you're 8 years into your tenure as president of LMU. Can LMU students expect you to stay a member of the family and their leader for many years in the future?
Like 1,000?
Depends
on how long the students are going. The students go 4 years. So it's been very easy for me to be the leader for every one of them. There will come a time, I don't know when that is, and I think the most interesting facet of this question is people need to understand half of this is my decision, the other half is with our board of trustees. So they're the persons who hire and fire the president. We're going right now, everything is simpatico. We couldn't have a better board, and we certainly get along well. They support our goals, they support me, so right now everything is looking pretty good. As far as I know, I'll be here at least till 5 tonight.